Alright everyone, welcome back. So our 2023-2024 season previews continue on today with the Stanley Cup champions, the Vegas Golden Knights. So, Vegas, obviously, they won the Stanley Cup, so there's really no question there. Let's just get into last season. They went 51, 22-9 for 111 points. They were 5th in the NHL, and they won the Stanley Cup. So, obviously, there's nothing much to it there. They were Stanley Cup champions. It was an amazing run, and I was happy to cover it in my 4th season of coverage. Now, heading into my 5th season of coverage, we'll see if they can go back-to-back. And, yeah, I will say this. Vegas didn't do a whole lot this offseason besides trade away players, if we're being honest. The team is basically the same, minus a few guys. So your departures list goes as follows. You got Riley Smith, Laurent Brossoit, Jonathan Quick, Teddy Blueger, and Nolan Patrick. So, overall, not that big of losses. Riley Smith's probably the biggest one, a good top 6 winger. It's going to suck not having him on the team, but definitely, I think they're good enough on that left wing chart that they won't miss him. And then, obviously, there too, Brossoit played for half of the playoff run in net. It's unfortunate to see him go. Jonathan Quick, he's getting up there in age, so it was only right they let him go. Blueger, a good 4th liner, and Patrick, I feel bad for that guy. I might need to make a separate video on him. I know I have before, but that was years ago, and he just has never seemed to just make it right in the NHL. I feel like I will make a video on him eventually. I'll add that to my list of ideas to do, but regardless, yeah, he just hasn't been. And yeah, the arrivals, none. There's nobody. There's nobody of note. The roster is basically the same. I guess you could say they re-signed Ivan Barbashev, but that's about it. Really, they didn't do anything else that was, really notable, that I thought was notable. So, yeah, they drafted guys. I'm pretty sure they drafted Lucas Cormier, but he won't be playing this coming season with Vegas, so shouldn't expect that. Regardless, Vegas, they didn't make that many moves arrivals-wise. It's pretty much the same team overall. Regardless, your lineup now via the Hockey News. I did not make these lines. Don't come at me for them. But regardless, you got Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Jonathan Marchessault as your first line. Then you have Brett Howden, Chandler Stevenson, and Mark Stone as your second line. So, yeah, that is a pretty interesting top 6 there. Obviously, if they're fully healthy, that would be their top 6. But Barbashev, Eichel, Marchessault, great first line. Barbashev played really well in the playoffs. I like him a lot. And then as well as that too, Howden, interesting second liner. We'll see how he does playing on that second line role, but he played well last year. Had an underrated playoff run for sure. And it's always those small guys too, the little guys that, you kind of forget about. People like him really go a long way. For sure. But yeah, the top 6 overall is good. Mark Stone probably is I'm not sure. He might be healthy, he might not be healthy, but on the rosters I've seen, it shows him healthy, so we'll find out if that's true. But regardless, yeah, we'll see. Your bottom 6 now goes as follows. You got Pavel Doriev. You got William Karlsson and Michael Amadio as your third line. Then you got William Carrier, Nicholas Watt, and Keegan Colasar as your 4th line. So I like that bottom 6. And then for some extra players, you got Paul Cotter, Brendan Bryson, and Jonas Rungsberg. So yeah, you got some interesting guys there. Guys that typically on a team like Vegas you wouldn't know. Like Dorofiev, you don't know that guy if you're a casual hockey fan. Like you don't know who that guy is. But players like that, players like him, Amadio, Colasar, those are the type of guys that win championships. The guys that can do the little things on the bottom 6, like make hits, steal the puck from people, play decent defense. Maybe not be scoring a lot of points, but that's just the way it goes sometimes for some players. So yeah, obviously we'll see how that bottom 6 does. I think Bryson and Cotter are going to get some time for sure. They both played a little bit in Vegas during the season, but obviously we'll find out if that fully comes into fruition in the coming weeks. Your defense now goes as follows. You got Alex Martinez and Alex Pietrangelo as your first line. Then you got Brayden McNabb and Shea Theodore as your second line. Then you have Nicholas Hague and Zach Whitecloud as your third line. And then Ben Hutton and Pachal as your extra defenders. So, yeah, if I'm being honest with Vegas, that blue line is still great. No doubt about it. There were some rumors about Pietrangelo retiring, but it looks like he is going to play as of right now. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I mean, the defense is obviously great. It was great in the playoffs. I don't expect it to, fall apart. But, obviously, it's a year where a lot of guys are getting, a lot of guys are going to want more money. And a lot of these players we're going to see expire over the next couple of years and stuff and such, and that they're going to have to move players. They may need to move Martinez. That was a rumor at one point during the offseason. We'll find out if that fully comes true, but as of right now, that is something you got to keep in mind. And then goaltending is Hill and Thompson. And then you got Robin Leonard as a questionable third string goalie. It looks like he will play. I'm not really too sure. But if he's not, then you got Jiri Patera as a third string goaltender. But regardless, I'm interested to see how that's gonna do the goaltending for a full season. I like both goalies. They both prove me wrong. They're likely gonna run a tandem. But yeah, they should do well. Biggest X factor is probably what I said. The same thing I said last year. It's health. If this team can stay healthy, then yeah, they're going to be a good team. But if they can't stay healthy, it's going to be a repeat of probably 21-22 because that was a rough year all around. So honestly, if they can stay healthy, they're a good team. If they can't, then yikes. And then your biggest question, I think, is the question that everyone's going to ask: can they go back-to-back? Can they go for a back-to-back championship? And I think it's possible. But there's a lot of teams, again, in the Eastern Conference that are going to make a run for it, and same with the Western Conference. But what Vegas did last year was they really just let all of the Eastern Conference teams just beat each other up, and then Vegas came in, killed Florida, and then won the Cup. That's really all they did. And, they were one of the more dominant Cup-winning teams we've seen because of that. The only team that had a lead over them was, like a series lead was Winnipeg, and that was in the first round after game one. So it just goes to show that they were consistent the entire way through. But yeah, can they go for a back-to-back? I think it's very possible. We'll obviously find out at this time next year, but we shall see. Your point projections now are via the Hockey News' fantasy guide here. You got Jack Eichel at 1 with 76. Marchessault in 2 with 67. Stevenson in 2 with 67. Marchessault in 3rd with 66. Stone in 4th with 61. And Shea Theodore in 5th with 56. So definitely interesting point projections there. Your sleeper or your bust is Chandler Stevenson because he's such an efficient shooter when scoring at a 15.3% of career shots. You wish Chandler Stevenson put the puck in the net more often. Regardless, he eclipsed 60 points and won more than 600 draws for the second straight year. So yeah, Stevenson has become a really solid, underrated, probably second-line center behind Jack Eichel at this point. But regardless, still a really solid forward and definitely is going to do some good things for Vegas again this coming year. But yeah, Vegas should be a playoff team. There's no question about that. Cup team, it's a stretch because we've seen a trend in the past couple of years where a cup-winning team will get eliminated first round. But regardless, we'll see if that happens again this year. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. We have 2 more season previews. We got Arizona tomorrow, and then we got the Islanders to wrap things up on Friday. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.